really quick how I got into using LinkedIn. I'm a really big Facebook fan. I got into that about 2007. I got dragged into it by some younger cousins, and I am a writer and editor by profession, and they thought I would really get into using that. Then I thought, well, that would be really cool if there was something like that for, not just social networking, but job networking. And then I found LinkedIn, and I went kind of crazy on that. I started using it a little bit more recently, and it sort of timed out at the same time that the advanced job search type of information was available on there. And so there's a lot of really cool, powerful stuff on there to help you find a job. And some of it may not be that obvious because it's not going to be direct, okay, here's this person, I'm going to ask them for a job and I'm going to get it. But there's some really cool things that you can do on there that will really help you, in that job search, and then also when you're in the interview situation. And I'll give you a couple examples of that later on. I am currently in a new job myself as of the end of November, and I will say that LinkedIn helped me get that job. But I'll tell you more about that later. So, as I said before, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I'm going to try to leave some time at the end. And hopefully we can do that. All right, so to start off too, I had a volunteer here, a friend who is letting me use his LinkedIn profile, and that's who you're seeing right now. It's Paul Calhoun right here up in front. I have an executive membership, and so I didn't want to sign in on that right now because that's going to show extra features that some of you, or maybe most of you, are not going to have. And I would not necessarily recommend that you spring the money for that. That's super expensive. The job seeker cost is a little bit cheaper, but most of the stuff you can do without that. All right, so sometimes LinkedIn will offer you a couple of free offers, like a month free of job seeker. I'd say jump on that just to sort of mess around with it, but just be aware that after the month, is up, and they're pretty particular on that day, or whatever, they're gonna, start charging you. I think some of that is as low as about $25 a month. So, it could be worth it, but I think you can do a lot of the stuff that we're gonna talk about right here. I wanna just show you what you can do without having that stuff. And they are gonna try to upsell you at some point. So, not actively, but they're gonna send you offers. So, anyway, okay. The handout that you have is a lot of different information that I think a lot of people have questions on. I'm not going to go through that, but I might refer to that once in a while. So what I really want to do is just talk about some key points. We're going to go, I don't know how easily you can see this cursor up here, so I'm going to swing it around a little bit as I move. But we're basically going to go across the top here on these menu items, and I'm going to kind of try to cherry pick a little bit, the items that I think are of most interest for, as you're going through a job search. And then I'm going to add in some experience and advice that I've gotten from some of my own LinkedIn gurus. Let's see. So let's start off. I did want to ask too, how many people here have a LinkedIn account? Let's just talk basics. Okay, so most everybody. And then how many of you somewhat actively use it? Okay, that's cool. That's great. And you don't have to raise your hand on this, but how many are wanting to use it or are kind of currently looking for a new job opportunity? Okay, cool. All right, awesome. If we have time, I doubt it, but if we have time, I can try to go into a little bit if you have your own. A lot of this stuff will apply if you have your own business. I have my own freelance business for 14 years. In the last 3 or 4, I've used this a little bit. So a lot of the same stuff can apply, but you'd have to sort of do a little bit mind shift with it. And we can maybe talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so starting off, under the profile. Okay, first off, here's your anchor, this little LinkedIn thing, and your home. So LinkedIn home is going to take you more or less to your news feed. And there's some, I don't know how much you guys have messed with this, you probably have, but just want you to be aware. This is sort of like if you've used other social media, it's, who you've decided to follow or what LinkedIn thinks you might have of interest on LinkedIn, and it has to do with what's in your profile. So if you go right below, this is your status thing if you wanted to post, an update out there like, I just got a new job. But over here, just under the share, is all updates, is what you see. And when you click on, or just hover actually over it, you'll see that this little menu shows up. And this is kind of a nice thing. And we'll get back to this later. But you can filter this to see what you want. So we are going to go and talk about companies later, about following companies that you're interested in targeting or that you might be interviewing with. But if you are following some companies, you can hear in your newsfeed when you sign in, every day or how often you sign in, you can filter it and see what stuff is going on with those companies that you're following. Okay, so that's pretty basic. But also the same thing, think about it with your connections. If you have certain connections that you're following, or just to see what other friends are doing. Same thing, groups would probably be good thing if you belong to some groups that are applicable to the area that you're searching in, okay? And again, we'll get back to this. I think it'll be a little bit more clear later, if it's not already, why that might be helpful. All right, so the big thing is profile. And I want to go over this, and I bet most of you have a pretty well-developed profile at this point if you've been on and you're using it. But there's a couple things I want to mention, and actually Paul's done a really, I would say, good job here on this. With a fairly recent redesign of LinkedIn, it's been in the last couple of months. They've sort of changed the look of this, and I'm sure you guys have all seen these endorsement things. Some people hate them. But they've given you a lot more ability in this to customize it, like put up or down or what things that you want to highlight on that page. So I would almost look at it as this, it's your public resume. You actually do have the ability of uploading your resume to this, to your profile and have that actually be there. But to me, this is really a live resume and selling tool for you. And two things that I want to point out in particular on this page. Okay, so one, right below your name, you have this ability right down here, I don't know if you can see this, it's popping up to edit I think it's the whole profile basically, but definitely for your this section in here. The part that runs underneath your name, you have the ability to put in there what you want. And sorry I don't have the character count right in front of me of what that is, but I've had other people refer to that as very valuable real estate. A lot of people just put in what their current job title is, if you're in a current job, or if you're a freelancer, or if you're looking for a job. The recommendation that I keep hearing, the buzz is that this is to be used to really explain who you are and what it is you want to do. A lot of this stuff at the top, you want it to be what you're looking for, not what you've been in the past. If those two things match up, that's awesome. Ignore what I'm saying. And you may have reasons, to not follow that advice. You might want that a very specific job title up there. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you about it. But you can see Paul's got a couple different things here, and I'm assuming these are things that he is wanting to continue to do. And what this is also is, think of this as being a keyword search. And that is actually what LinkedIn does. It's looking at this real estate, for one thing, to see, what you make suggestions through its algorithm, what you might want to see. So that affects like what groups it suggests, what jobs it might suggest to you, what companies it might suggest to you to follow, what people you might want to connect with. You don't need to take any of those suggestions, but you are going to get a lot better tailored, offers to you. And actually, I've found, especially in their job recommendations, I've gotten things that look pretty dang interesting that I wouldn't necessarily have come across myself in a search. So the other thing is this just sort of opens things up for also employers or prospective employers of you who, if they are out there, and HR people, they're out there searching, think of it like that as well. What are they looking for? I would play around with this a little bit more, though, too, and not have it to be the total keyword thing. Have sort of what you are. I want to see if I can. I'll do this later, but there's a couple people I want to show you examples of, and I'll need to dial in or log in on my account, but I'll hopefully get to that later. So the other part of that profile and that the keyword search, the thing that's really important is the summary. And this is it's a newer addition to that LinkedIn profile. Before you've had, I'm going to scroll down, sorry, I hope I'm not making people dizzy like myself. You've had the experience section where you put in the different jobs that you've had. And that, well, side note on that, careful when you're doing that if you're entering them in, because it's really going to sort them based on what like if you have anything that says to present, that's going to go to the top. And any dates that it puts in there, it's going to order it in that way. So if there's, for some reason, you would like, you might have had a job, let's say 6 years ago and a couple more jobs in between, but what you're looking for now, you really want that job from 6 years ago to be at the top. You may have to fudge around with that date, which is a little weird, but the other way to do it is to enter it in last or next to last if you haven't filled those all in. So that's more advice for people who are just starting out to enter in that experience stuff. I keep trying to mess around with it. They say that you can move things around, but I don't believe in that section you're still able to do that. And if somebody knows that you can, please tell me, and that will be good news. So anyway, that was there before, but this summary is sort of a new thing, like I said. And this really gets mined by LinkedIn for keywords. And I'll come back to this later too when we talk about skills and expertise. That's one of the last things I'm going to talk about. But also with endorsements and recommendations, this is going to have some effect. You want to have keywords in here, and again, you want them related to what you're looking for, going forward in a job or career. Obviously, you can have information in there about what you've done in the past, but make sure it's sort of weighted to what you're looking for now. And the other thing, a really good recommendation I got from somebody, and this goes back to the networking, and this is something I wanted to make really clear, even as we're talking about specifics. LinkedIn is just an amazing, powerful networking tool. But think of it like this. This is letting you do what you would do in person. It's a tool that's actually letting you do some of these activities a lot easier. You're not having to figure out where to go to meet with these people that you want to network with. There's just so many amazing ways that you can make connections here. It's also a traveling Rolodex for you. It's an amazing way to keep in touch with people because people change, that from your past, change jobs, they change locations, they change emails. And it's hard to keep track of all that, but here you have it, and wherever you travel, you can log in if you've got internet access, and you can get to that information. And you don't even have to have that address book with you as long as you can get in there. So that's the powerful tool. So back to what I would kind of call the etiquette is that when you're interacting with people on LinkedIn, you want to do that in a way that you would do it if you were meeting that person in person. So One thing that is really helpful on the summary, and you can decide if you feel comfortable with this, but the recommendation I got from one career counselor person who does this for a living is she always includes 3 items at the bottom of her summary, personal items, connecting items about herself. So let's say for me, and I don't think that I've actually done this on my summary yet, so, you know, but I might put, I've traveled to Germany, I have a rat terrier, and I dance ballet. And what that does, you don't have to put things down like that. Do whatever you feel comfortable with, especially related, you know, to your job search. But what this does is when people are trying to connect with you, it gives them a connecting point, something more than just, you know, your data about how you can do a job. And it may not be for employers, it may be when you're connecting with other people, but think about that. If you're at a networking event publicly and, you know, sort of like cocktail party or whatever, and you're trying to meet people or at a professional meeting, you know, there might be those people that you might just, you know, exchange cards with and never remember again. But the people that you remember are the ones that you sort of find something in common with. And you probably know this already, you know, a good networker sort of finds those connections, you know, like where are you from, you know, or where'd you, you know, or what do you do in your spare time or whatever. So this adds that little level in there and lets people connect with you. This one particular friend that told me about this was saying that she will get connection requests and people will say, you know, I have a rat terrier, or I have a dog, or, you know, or, I mean, it's a great connection point. These, you know, I'm not, you know, it could be debatable. The same person, I think she puts on there that her husband has a band and he has a mohawk. Okay, some people may, you know, for her business, I think it works. But if you're like in banking or something and looking for a job, maybe you don't want to do that, right? But you know, think about that. Put something a little bit out there so people can actually see that personal side of you. It's going to make connecting a little bit easier and start conversations going. And that's what you want. You want these connections that you have on LinkedIn to be like real connections, not just how many connections can I, you know, accumulate. So, okay, so I don't want to keep going on about that. Those are the main things. What I would do as well on this profile is, you know, besides the usual stuff that you're probably going to fill out anyway, like your education and stuff, because honestly, that is, you can do a search. I can show you, I'm going to show you this in a second. People can search and categorize search for looking for people to connect with by your, you know, alma maters, you know, by different things. So, but the other thing I wanted to add on here is organizations or groups, actually. Sorry, I'm trying to get all the way down here. They've kind of stuck these down at the bottom. And again, I apologize. I haven't messed around with this in the last couple of weeks to see if you could move this up. I don't know that you would want to, but this is something to keep in mind when you're going and looking at somebody else's profile, okay? Not just yours, but then think about it too, about how it could work for yours. Let's say you know somebody that you would like to connect with on LinkedIn. However, I'm going to assume that you kind of know the levels of connection, but first connections are the people you know directly and are connected directly with. And then there's the second and third that are within your realm that you can see some or partial information about. But there may be people that you might search through and go, hey, this guy is human resources at this company, you know, that I really, really want to work at. And, you know, but I don't have a second or third connection there. And how am I going to work that? What you can do is if you can see any part of their profile, or you can do a search up here when you pull them up. And let's see if I can come up with somebody. You know what? Let me think. Let's pick somebody random. Okay. So this person, let's see, you wanted to connect with this person who's not in your network. To some degree, you may be able to find out that they're in a specific group. This one, okay, right. She's actually following this education management list. But the other thing you can do is looking for groups that relate to the industry or the area that you're interested in, where you think other people are going to be hanging out, that you can get information, that might be helpful in that search. If you're not able to connect with them, but you belong to the same group that they belong to, you have the ability to email, or to, to message them on LinkedIn. Now, I hope, and I'm not sure if that made sense, but if you're in the same group, you're following the same group, and somebody is a regular poster, not even a regular poster, but they're a member of that group as well, you can contact that person without using or paying to do an in-mail. So hopefully you're kind of familiar with that. Any account, I think it's a couple free basic in-mails that you can contact somebody that you don't really have a connection with. But after that, you really don't have a way to contact them unless they have an open profile. But you can, yeah.
Could you go back one?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the page where you had the list of the folks there. Go up, scroll up. Okay, so you could only send an in-mail, right? And that's a prescription, right? Subscription, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find references, okay. So there's nothing else there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to go and click through on this because this is Paul's. And people, I can't remember the number. I think you may start off with a free account and have 6 or 7 of these at your disposal. And then once you use them, they're gone. When you start to have like the job, you can go and look in the job seeker. Like if you get that status, you pay a little bit a month, or whatever. Like with the executive, you get so many that you can use a month. If you don't, when you're in that paid status, if you use them and they don't get responses, I believe it's a 10-day or 15-day response period. If that person doesn't respond, that right to use that in-mail reverts back to you. So they're not going to charge you for it if you don't get any results out of it. But you get so many. And then I think with those paid ones, they may, it seems to me on mine that they are adding up. If I'm not using them, they're carrying over. So you may have that. So I would say this though, with the in-mails, I would be very careful with those when I was using those. That's a cold call. Again, this is like the parallel with, real world face-to-face. That's a cold call. So you want to craft, any note that you do like that very carefully. Let them, be brief, but let them know why you're connecting, what you're looking for, but also what you can do for them. I mean, that would be a common courtesy. So, okay, back to, I don't want to keep hanging here on the profiles. I'm going really slow. Contacts. That leads me to the contacts, and I want to just talk about that really quick. I think I already alluded to this. There's some people that will say, quantity over quality on the connections. And it's true, the more connections you have, the more possibility you have, that second and third, connection network is huger, right? But the thing is, think about this too. How valuable are they to you? If these are just people that you're kind of connecting with, you've never met them face to face, you've never had any prolonged email contact with, you could go to them and ask them to introduce you to somebody who's going to introduce you to somebody, but what is the value going to be of that to you? They are not, if it's just sort of some passing acquaintance, they can't give you a rave review, right? They can just, the likelihood is if you ask them to introduce you to somebody else, they're going to say, well, I kind of connected with this person on LinkedIn. I don't know that much about them, but they wanted to talk to you. You know, the value of that, you know, the value of having connections that are actually really connected to you in some way is great. But that's why, too, I'm talking about having those 3 items in your summary, but also when you're connecting with people, you know, really, okay, so this is another cardinal rule of mine, and I really, really, really would like to insist that you do this. Anytime you make a connection, second, you know, with a second, third connection, whatever, in mail, please, please tell them how you know them. You know, don't just automatically think they know who you are. Don't just like do this like it's a blind thing. Well, maybe they'll accept my connection or they don't. Make a connection. You know, you wouldn't walk up to somebody and say, take my card, you know? You're just not going to do that. And that's what this is. Don't expect somebody to connect with you if you're not really telling them, you know, why they should and why they want to. And it's always good, too, you know, tell them quickly how you know them. Let them know, you know, a little about yourself. You know, have that little mission statement maybe put together or whatever, you know, you use for you about what you're looking for or what it is that you do and have to offer. End it with, you know, whenever I can help you out, let me know. You know, and that's especially when you're asking for an introduction. Those would work very similar. And when I say introduction, that's just sending a message to a connection and saying, hey, looks like you have this connection, a direct connection that I would like to get introduced to. And I would like, you know, I would like an introduction from you. So we're down below the LinkedIn. We're going from left to the right up here. The groups. And I'm sorry, one more thing, contacts. You can see right here on Paul's, below the connections and add connections. I'm imagining most of you have kind of messed around with this, but like for instance, he's got College DuPage. When you pull this up, you can see it's going to list some of your actual, you know, network connections here, like your first, second, and third ones. But you can see that, you know, he's got a set of years in here. You can change that if you want to look, but it tells you, so look, it's showing, this is sort of matching up stuff for him. 23,000 students and alumni found. You can tailor this down. Say, okay, there's a lot in the United States. But let's say Paul thinks he might want to move to the Phoenix area. He can click on Phoenix. Okay, so now we've got 257 down here. Maybe he's actually thinking about, he wants to work with University of Phoenix. Who is it? Well, there's 2 people here. Now, they are not in his network. So that's where you have to get a little creative. But you can sort of see what you've got here. And this is just sort of a way, I'm not, you know, saying this is going to be the perfect tool, but this is sort of a way to go through and see, you know, nose around in different ways how you might know people that might be connected to you or be able to find a connection. So that's kind of an interesting little tool. The groups. So right here, you know, you have, if you guys, how many people have groups that they belong to? Okay, cool. You don't have to be doing this. Obviously, you don't want to be here on group LinkedIn all the time. Although I have heard statistics, people saying that if you're going to be online job searching, 90% of that time should be on LinkedIn. And the deal is that a lot of the job listings that you would look at, Career, Monster, I think even Indeed, trying to think of some of the other big ones, their job listings are now on LinkedIn. But with the groups, like I said, this is a place where you can start following groups that are in the area of your expertise or the area that you want to be in. You can kind of start to hang out with people in that area, post or answer questions, throw out discussion items, see who's out there, see who is really like kind of the mover and shaker in that area. And then, yeah, you can if you're a member of that group, even if you're not connected with that person, you can message them. So I don't know if you can see this right here. I don't think Jesslyn Jenkins is a connection with Paul right here, but she's in the same group as him, and you can see there's this, it's really small, but there's a send message option. But also in the groups, what you can do with some of these people, and like if they tend to be the person who moderates the group or whatever, and you really kind of want to, you think that they kind of know the industry that you're in and you want to follow them, you can actually do a follow right here too. And then what that's going to do is remember when I started about the home, on this home button in that feed, you're going to start getting their stuff there. And that, again, that's, one way you might be filtering that. Like if you want to check every day or every other day or whatever and kind of see what's going on with the people you're following, the companies, etc. Okay, so let's move on to jobs. So find jobs. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You guys have probably already been doing this. You search for a job. It's also going to be, suggesting jobs you may be interested in. And companies that are hiring that have connections. There's just a lot of good information here. When you do a search, and let's see if I can do this. Okay, I just typed in assistant managing editor. A lot of stuff came up. I'm sure you guys have dealt with this, but you've got a lot of different filtering capabilities down the side here. What industry you want it to be in. Do you want to just see your second connections that are, coming up with this that are related to those companies? Are there specific companies you want to see? So the other thing you can do, so after you sort of do some of that filtering, or if you just have that general one, what I would really totally suggest, if you're not already doing this, is click Save and save that search. And then you can name it and then send email alert. And I would totally recommend this. It's pretty nice and easy. If you're not using email, fine. Okay. But you can set this up. You can get a daily email alert. You can get a weekly. You can get a monthly. So LinkedIn is basically going to send you a job listing every day of what's coming out. There's going to be repeats if you're doing a daily. I can tell you that right now. You can save it. But what I noticed is once I saved a search and I was getting the email alerts, I was getting a lot more suggestions of jobs and a lot more tailored. So that's another thing you want to do. So you can see up here we've got save searches and save jobs. You can also just on a job save it so you can go back there later if you want to do, look more into it. The advanced search lets you just pull that up totally and start filling stuff out. You can, you've got keywords, you've got a title, you've got a company, you've got the postcode, postal code, functions, experience. This is one thing, I don't know how valuable it really is, but with some of the premium memberships, you get to add in a salary thing. So you can say, I don't want to see anything that's offering under 40,000, let's say. But I don't know how valuable that is because I don't think a lot of those jobs have that information connected with them, honestly. So the same thing, I want to go back.
After you fill out this information, do you hit save?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I saw up there it said save jobs, so you want to click on that to save all the advanced features?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, when I had the window up, it had a save button. But then after that, you have ability to go back and look at it there too.
Because on the advanced search, you just put in more keywords.
Mm-hmm. And you can have multiple saved searches. You can do, let's say I was looking for an editor position. I was looking for a writer position. It was, you can tailor all of that. Great, thanks. And the other thing I want to talk to you about, okay, there's a lot of other stuff here. Here they're going to tell you what you get out of Job Seeker Premium. So that's some information there. The other thing I want to tell you before I forget to, I think it's in the last or next to last page in your handout. It's the very last page at the bottom. LinkedIn actually has a free monthly 60-minute webinar about how to use LinkedIn to do your job search. Those are free. So there's some information there. I think the other way, another quick side note tip for finding stuff on LinkedIn, if you're ever looking for something and you can't figure out where it is, there is a help center under More, all the way over here, Help Center. Honestly, what works better for me is if I'm on Google, I type in what I want, I type in LinkedIn, and it will pull up the LinkedIn Help Center page that I want, much faster than the LinkedIn Help Center search. So that would be my little inside tip on that. Okay, so I need to move on here so if you guys want to ask questions. I want companies real quick. Under the jobs, I want to morph into the company section really quick. So here's a job that's being suggested to Paul. You'll notice that there's a link here. I'm sure you guys have messed with this. BNP Media is the employer, but you can go to that company's page, and then there's a lot more information there, but some of the key information for you is going to be over here, how you're connected. So right here it's telling you over in the right-hand side near the top how you're connected, and that there's 539 employees on LinkedIn, or at least say that they're working, for this company. And you can see all. They also throw some up here that are in your network. So these are third connections that you could kind of, if you hover over them, you'll get a little bit more information and find out who they are. Or you can just go to look at See All and start looking through. I think what I would maybe do at this point, if you're thinking, I think there's a Michael or something like that, I would just do a find. I'm sorry, I just did a Control F. Not in the search here, but on the browser, do a find on that page, and look for, see if a Michael comes up. Not getting anything. Anyway. But you can also, if you can see this right here, you're in the company, BNP Media, all LinkedIn members. You could just say, these are grayed out, so you can tell that he doesn't have any first or second connections here, and no group that he belongs to has any members. So that's a key little thing there. But he does have third and everyone else. So he could click that versus seeing all LinkedIn members, because those would be, the third ones would be, obviously, I think that's coming up anyway. That's what they're going to put up there first. But you can also see too, well, maybe he only wants to see the people. He knows this one person is in Chicago, so he's going to do that instead. So these are the BNP Media people in Chicago. There's so much more over here you can just take a look at and filter that however you want. It should usually have numbers after it, telling you how many are there. So if it's grayed out, there's probably nobody that fits that criteria. Okay. So when you're searching companies too, you can do keyword or industry. So up here, just you've got this. You can follow them. This is going to give you that news feed on your homepage. But you've also got the career listing. So some of them actually do list jobs that are current and go through to there. And interesting little thing, you've probably seen this already, but if you, a lot of these you can just apply directly through LinkedIn, and you can also see how many people have applied. So they have that little hot one that I guess if it hits, it's had a lot of applications right after it gets posted, or so many people have, applied, you kind of know how many people you're going against, right? And then News. I'm going to skip news. The one other thing I really want to show you real quick, and then we're going to get to questions here. Skills and expertise. This is under the more, so the last little tab up here, right where the help center is. 3 down is skills and expertise. So think keywords. This could help you with your summary, but this can just kind of help you do a little bit of research too. I currently work in healthcare financial management. I want to do a search on that. Or not. Okay. Let's put something else in here. There we go. Okay, so I just put revenue cycle in here. A lot of times what you're actually going to get up is it'll pull in, if there's information on that subject on Wikipedia, it's going to actually pull that in. So you're going to have a little bit of information. But there's a couple things on this that I think are really cool. Right here, this is just about that terminology, that keyword. It tells you how hot that keyword is, okay? And if it's on the upswing in hotness or if it's on the downswing, okay? So revenue cycle is on the upswing, 5%. But it also lists other terms that are sort of related or synonymous. And it tells you, yeah, well, revenue cycle is sort of an older term maybe, and maybe isn't the buzzword right now. Clearly, charge description or cash accelerator or acceleration, I can't see what that is right now. Those are on the downswing. So this is a way to kind of keep your lingo current too. If you're putting in your industry, you know some of those keywords or whatever, what you're used to, put them in here, kind of see what some of the buzz is. So the other thing that comes up is this. This is a ranking algorithm that LinkedIn uses, and they will give you like what they rank as the highest revenue cycle professionals. And what this is are, one, people on their profiles that have a lot of the keywords associated to searches for that issue, that have a lot of endorsements in those areas and those keywords, that are in groups that cover that a lot, or talk about that subject, who post in those groups, who might be actually very active in answering questions in those groups, maybe belong to a company. So basically, LinkedIn is creating professionals in that area. There is not a magic way for you to do that, but except for to make sure that your profile is pretty well filled out, especially making sure you've got some really good keywords in your summary and that little real estate underneath your name. And then just being active out there. You don't have to be active. I'm not saying that you need to be one of these top ranked people, but just that's something to keep in mind if you do have your own business. But it's also a way to look and go, okay, who are the key players in this industry, at least according to LinkedIn's algorithm? Who's getting the buzz here? So then, if you see that Chantal is, you might go look through, and she has a pretty open, so you can see what companies she's following. What does she think is important to follow? And then also what groups is she in? And this is one of those ways that, it's that professional stalking, a healthy stalking, okay? You go to the group that they belong to and add yourself to that group. And then you will be able, to decide if you want to connect with her, but you at least know she's a mover and shaker in that industry. And, go where she's going, go hang out where the people that you want to be working with are hanging out. And then, back to that, if I can get back to that really quick, you can go through a couple of those people and again, see what you can find out, see what groups they're hanging with, where they're hanging out. Are they posting material? Go read the material that they're posting. You're going to get some really valuable information there. The related skills, here are skills, some of them that are over here on the right-hand side. They're here and a lot more. And those might give you ideas about keywords to put in that summary on your profile. The related companies here are ones that might have a lot of keywords in their company profiles or deal in that area, or a lot of the people that are kind of in this column or have those keywords are working at those companies. Jobs come up under this. It's another way to look for jobs and target them. You have even locations here. So let's just go to on the jobs that they're suggesting. You know, you've got this job here. And typically, I think you've probably seen this, you know, at the bottom of the job, search more jobs. You can kind of say, yeah, okay, this is the aspect of that one that I want to do, you know, get more job listings from. Like I want to see jobs at that company. I want to see consulting jobs. I want hospital and healthcare management consulting jobs, you know, on and on. Okay, so I think that was the main bit of information I wanted to go over. And my watch says we've got about 10 minutes. So if you have questions on the cards, if you guys could pass them down or just sort of wave them to me and maybe I can collect them really quick.
What is that tab you're on?
Right here, the more, it's the more tab. More, yep. So that's that's the one I was just talking about, more. That's got your help center. It's got your skills and expertise. It also lets you upgrade your account if you want to pay money. This is another one. I was going to go over this one, but I just saw news today that I had heard rumors that they were going to close this down, and I heard something more specific today. Answers. It's a really kind of a cool thing, I thought, and it was a really good way to maybe start positioning yourself as an expert. And I think it got used in the past to help rank you in some of the, you know, like as one of the top people, you know, in that skills and expertise. You could post questions here, and you as a LinkedIn member could answer questions. And so it could be a way to sort of promote your, you know, your expertise in that area or a particular area. And there's ways to browse it and stuff. But what I heard is they're shutting it down. I don't know what that means. Okay, thank you. So yeah, we've got 10-minute warning here. Yeah, so I didn't go into a lot of settings and all that stuff. So yeah, we can try questions, but if you have some on the cards, that's cool too. So yeah, that'd be great, Pete, if you don't mind collecting them. And then if there's any, and if you,
Passing to your left and I'll collect them.
okay. Okay, yep. This is a good question. On your public profile, as a live resume, how much should the public see? You can decide that. And I would give some thought to that, what you're putting out there. And it's just a lot of common sense. I did include, let me see if I can find the page here real quick, is the recommendations from, or just some general guidelines, like, where's it at? Okay, it's on page 9 at the bottom. And it says privately looking for a job, because I think that's one thing that a lot of people are concerned about. You're on LinkedIn, you might be in a current position, but you're looking for a new job. So there are things that you might want to consider on your privacy settings, figuring out, what you want seen and what you don't. And I'm not going to really have time to go into all of that, but you do have suggestions here, and there's a link right there at the bottom. So sorry about this. That's another thing too. If you want, I have my LinkedIn address on that next to last page. It's at the top of the syllabus for the LinkedIn class. So I'm at, the handle is Deborah Pfeiffer. You can connect with me. Just tell me that you attended this session. I may, if people are interested, start up a little group where, we could all connect that way if you wanted to, because it is a group of people probably job searching. It might not be a bad place to do, and I can post information as I find it too. But in the meantime, if you want to connect with me, ask questions, it's there. And the other thing I was going to offer with that is I can email you this set so that you actually have links, make it a little bit easier for you to get there. But those are some good guidelines. Basically, it'll show you how to hide some of your activity. But I wouldn't freak out in general. Don't think that you shouldn't have a LinkedIn profile at all, or an account if you're working at a job and you're looking for a job. I mean, just, you don't want to be obvious. And I wouldn't be posting things on your status update, have an interview today. Use use some common sense. That's basically it. Do your stuff with private messaging. Realize too that once you're connected with somebody and they send you a message, or you will have access to their email account that's associated with that account. You can just private email that way, or typically if you're on your email and getting an email alert of LinkedIn messages, when you reply back, it's just going to that email address. So, as much as the email is private, that will be private. Okay, so that's my general warning. So hopefully that more or less answers that. So I think that help thing on, I think it was page 9, is pretty good. It'll talk you through, walk you through. There's a lot of links about how you can find the settings, what you want to do. Okay. So what percentage should you spend in LinkedIn if you're looking for a job? And where do you go to see how popular certain words are? I'm going to answer that second one first. The certain words are, I would just direct you back where we were at just a second ago, under the more. So you go down, from the LinkedIn thing at the left, go all the way over on the tabs to more, and then under skills and expertise. And then type in the phrase. If you don't know the phrases, even if you know like a general, like I'm going to type in ballet. And here, this is good. This one shows you actually, this is pulled in from Wikipedia. So, however much you trust that. But then you can see here's some terms that get bandied about. Those are, and here too. And then that's how you can get to that. So percentage you should spend in LinkedIn if you're looking for a job. A guru of mine has said 90% of your time. If, for your job search, there's like everything that you could use pretty much is there. It's up to you how much time you're going to spend there. The other thing is use this as a tool, like any other social media, to connect with people in person. Yes, you're not going to be doing your interview, I don't think, on LinkedIn. You're going to go see people in person. But, a good idea is to use this like I would use Facebook as well. If you're connecting with somebody and you're, setting, getting some connections there about, oh, yeah, we are from the same school and we're that. Let's go meet for coffee. Let's follow up. Let's meet on a regular basis. That's that networking stuff. This is a tool to help you get into that a little bit easier. And I always think of this as a 6 degrees of separation tool. How you're, the whole Kevin Bacon thing or whatever. But before that, you are, probably connected to anybody you wanted to be connected to through about 6 levels. This takes you through 3. It's pretty powerful to be able to know, otherwise you're like going to all of your friends and having to say to them, that's the old style way, right? I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a job, and then you have to say, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for. This actually allows you to dig into your friends that are and connections that are actually on here to see who they know that would actually be helpful to you. So, okay, that's all I'm going to spend on that. Is there any way to view profiles of applicants to jobs one is interested in? So would that question be as a fellow? Like if you wanting to see a profile of an applicant for a job that you are also applying for, or is that as an employer wanting to see an applicant's profile? The person who asked that, tell me.
Yeah, who's got the competition? What are their qualifications compared to yours?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I don't think that's available, but I might be wrong. I don't think so, though. You know what? Let's see if I can get to a job here real quick. How are we doing? Oh, we got a minute or two here. My answer would be, I think not.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. And then how do you use LinkedIn to promote your business? whoever asked this question, please do use my email or my LinkedIn account and contact me. I can send you a link. I will tell you this too. That Help Center, I'm going to go here right now, really quick. The LinkedIn Help Center has these like whole PowerPoints or videos and stuff about how to do stuff. So it's actually some pretty cool stuff. So right here for your business, company pages, frequently asked questions. You can actually, this is like Facebook. You can create a page for your business, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of other cool stuff you can do. But even if you just have your own business, let me get to. You know what I would do? I would use groups. That would be one of your most powerful tools as an individual with a business, like your own consulting firm. You can start up your own group. You can create your own group, invite people to join that, from your connections, but also, hang out in other groups. And there's a lot of, also, use your alumni associations. Use, some of those other things that you're putting on your profile. Go looking in some of those places. That's another thing I wanted to, just a off-the-cuff thing. Go find your old supervisors. And link up with them. And we didn't, we didn't even touch on the endorsements and the recommendations. I would suggest getting a couple of recommendations per job on your profile, if you can do that. You don't have to have them. I would concentrate on the ones that are gonna get you to where you wanna be versus where you have been, if that's not where you wanna be, if that makes sense. But also the endorsements, you've seen those endorsements. I don't know if I'm going to find this for you really quick. But as part of your profile, there should be a part where it's prompting you to add keywords. And it's actual, it's those little endorsement buttons. And you can add, I think it's something like, right here, under skills and expertise. Under edit. Yep. You can add these keywords basically. And I think it's something like, yeah. I can't tell, Paul, how many you have here, but it says you can still add 33. It's something like 50 you can add on those. So think of these. These are keywords, search words too. And then those are also things that people can then do that endorsement thing for you. And, that's kind of questionable how great that is, but that is one of the things that algorithm takes into account. When it's ranking you, if, 100 people endorsed you as a copy editor, that's gonna add to raising you up in the ranks of copy editor under that skills and expertise. It's not gonna guarantee, I can't tell you a magic number, and they won't tell you, I've asked them. So, okay, and do I have one more? Yes. To start, do I just mirror my resume and all the skills endorsements and what I want to do? And how do I attach the resume? And how do I reach out for endorsements? I'm going to go through these backwards. To reach out for endorsements, it's questionable whether you want to tell people, please endorse me. And I'm talking about those little keyword buttons. But probably the fastest way is to go endorse somebody that in their skills that that you want to endorse you back. Because they're going to get a little message and say, hey, Paul just endorsed me on this. And you'll say, and it's a great connecting tool too, because they'll go, hey, thanks, that's cool. And they're probably going to go and look at yours and go, oh, how can I endorse, Or if that person needs a little prompting, then you can do it, and say, hey, it'd be really cool if you could endorse me on this. The recommendations, there's actually a thing under, it's under the profiles. So, okay, from that left corner down to home, over to profile, under recommendations, there's a whole, the things that you fill in, especially the jobs, that you fill on your career experience, it's going to list those all and ask if you want to be recommended. And then it's going to go back and kind of suggest who you might want to, or you're going to, you can prompt it. And then you can also make a recommendation. And there's information down here at the bottom of that about how to get recommended and about recommendations. I would use the same etiquette, again, as you would have done old school wise, you know, in person and or by paper or letter or phone call. Tell them what you would like, you know, even give them what you would like them to say. That might help them out, you know, and then say that you'd be willing to do the same for them, or, you know, just say, however I can help you out, I would love to. You know, because sometimes in those situations, it is going to be like a superior to you, and maybe it's not going to, they're not going to think that it's going to be of any use for you to recommend them back, but I would offer it. I do think that this changes a little bit. One friend of mine said something to me about, well, why would I get, you know, if it was my supervisor, what would she get out of me recommending her? But I have this angle to look at it. You know, I think anyone who's pretty savvy out there in the business world in a job, you're not just working, you know, with who, you're not just a supervisor. You're managing up, you're managing sideways if you're a good employee. You're going to be managing people that you don't have as direct reports. You're going to be helping your boss do their job really well. So saying, you know, on your former boss's profile, very specific things that that person is good at, that could help that person. I mean, if you're out looking for a job and you know, on LinkedIn, you find this hiring manager that you're going to have an interview with, and you look at and see what their recommendations are, that's going to give you some insight. How good of a manager is that person? So I think that information is valuable. And that reminds me really quick, this is the story I want to tell you how I use LinkedIn to get the current job I'm at, and then I'm going to hit these and I think we'll have to stop, right, because I'm running over, sorry. The job I got was not because I found a job listing on LinkedIn. I have been a freelancer for a long time. I used to belong to, or I still belong to, for many years, an organization called Chicago Women in Publishing. I was on the board 15 years ago. There's certain people that I really connected with on that board. One way I've stayed connected with them, because we don't work together, but I like to stay in contact in the more, you know, recent, like last 5 or 6 years, has been I've reconnected with them on LinkedIn. And so I have seen this one particular friend post, because she happens to operate a forum and some groups on LinkedIn for her job. Another friend who is a freelancer, or had been in a full-time job, who had hired me as a client, or I was my client, I'm sorry, quit, was freelancing, contacted this other friend to say, hey, I'm freelancing. And she said, are you sure you don't want a full-time job? We've got a full-time job open where I'm working now, and it's really great. She's like, oh no, but Debbie's looking for a job. So I found out about a job that was not listed that way. Now that's old-time networking, right? But LinkedIn helped that. The other major way that helped me is I went in for a couple rounds of interviews. Each time I went in, even though I wasn't connected to these people, I was connected to the woman that was my friend, my acquaintance, and she was connected to some of these people, so I could see their information. And what happened was, with each person, I was scrolling through and kind of prepping myself and looking for any connections I might have with that person. Did I go to the same school with them, or anywhere near? Or, you know, do we have a common background some way? Or, you know, what is their background? Are they more a finance person? Are they more of a manager? What, you know, is their expertise the technical side, or is it, you know, more like managing, things like that? But then 2 other people that I met, one belongs to a writing group I belong to that I had no idea. She's a fiction writer, I'm a fiction writer on this side. But that told me, hey, if she's doing that, and that's what I want to do in my spare time, I might actually be able to do that at that job. And it was a great connecting point in that first interview. Second interview, I found out, and I told you rat terrier before, one of the people I interviewed has a meetup group of rat terriers because she has a rat terrier. And that came up in the interview. And this is somebody I was going to be working with as an indirect supervisor. And, you know, that earned me brownie points. We connected. They're going to remember you that way. So I'm not saying that's guaranteeing getting you a job, but those are just some other indirect ways that LinkedIn is going to help you. It really, really can be a very powerful tool. Okay, so really quick, I want to address this question too about mirroring the resume. Yes, I would. You know, that's pretty much what it is. Put on there what you feel comfortable with. There are actually, I'd have to probably do this by email. There is a way to attach documents now. It's newer when you go on the profile, edit profile. I think there's some guidance there and prompts to add video or PDFs or, you know, whatever projects, you know, a portfolio basically. I've also been told there's, I'm trying to remember the name of there's different little add-on applications that you can, or plugins, and one is something like MyBox, and I've heard that that is a pretty good tool. So that would be another way to attach documents. You might want to look into that. Oh, okay.
That's where I got a bunch of letters of recommendations.
Okay. Yeah, let's, yeah. There's plugins. I would Google it. It's MYBOX, just like it sounds. There's one thing I want to say about the resume. Think about this if you post or attach an actual resume to your account. A lot of career people will tell you to do that, but I do want you to think about this carefully because I don't know, not everybody's like me, but when I was job searching, I had a lot of different things I was exploring. You know, I was focused to some extent, but just like I think all of you are probably doing this, when you're applying for a specific job, you're going to tailor that resume and that cover letter and everything for each job, right? So unless you feel really comfortable putting up one resume up there, I would tend to let that profile itself be your resume on LinkedIn. This is you as a networking person, as a career person, not as a I'm currently looking for this type of job. You know, so this is going to be a profile for you forever, you know, until the next best thing comes out. But this is, think of this as that calling card or like a bio sheet about you or a fact sheet about you. It's a quick way for somebody to go through and find this information about you, and it's easy to update. You know, when you're active on that, it's, to me, it's a lot easier to update than an actual resume, right? Because you're just like, oh, how do I put that? You know, it's got to cover a lot of stuff. I don't want to change it all the time. So this is powerful in that way. So, okay. So I think that's all the questions. I really, really appreciate you guys hanging in here with me. If you've got questions now afterwards, I'm happy to answer them until they kick us out of here. I don't know when that's going to be. But also do, you know, connect with me or email me however you want. I can't promise I'm going to give you an instant answer, but I'm very, very happy to answer specific questions. And it can be more detailed stuff. I have people I can send you to if I can't answer. Okay? Thanks. Thank you very much.